What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, you may have seen the headline in the last couple of days, and in some places, they reference an article from almost 2 months ago with Entertainment Weekly and Kevin Feige, but a recent quote from the Marvel Studios president saying that he wants the MCU to go for the next 65 years. Which poses a huge problem because in the comics, they could simply do a major crossover event, reboot the timeline, and keep drawing the characters at whatever age they want, but for another 65 years means unless you plan on recasting another Captain America, another Iron Man, then eventually, and as the MCU keeps going, these characters and actors will age out or pass away, and you won't be able to use them crossed over the way they were in the original source material right now, unless they do something drastic during the multiverse saga, including bringing Robert Downey Jr. back. We won't get to ever see Tony Stark and Reed Richards interact. That's where we pick up today with the latest industry insider rumor on exactly what's going to happen with the MCU going past Secret Wars, what that soft reboot will look like with a main continuity and another continuity running in parallel to it. We're going to break down all the details, what the source is saying about the future of the MCU, and exactly how Marvel Studios plans on closing this chapter of Marvel cinema at the end of the multiverse saga. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway, which is right around the corner to coincide with Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, all you gotta do, be a sub, leave a comment on the video, stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so for a little bit of context, this actually comes from an unverified source over at the Marvel Studios subreddit that happened to go dark last week. And if you've ever seen The Sopranos, it does in some way feel like Bobby Bacalari's dead wife ziti. If you haven't seen it, his wife passes away. Her baked ziti is the last thing in the freezer that she cooked before she died, and for that reason, he doesn't want to thaw it out and cook it. That's not the way I feel about this scoop. It just happens to be the last one from that subreddit before it went dark. But my point here is basically twofold. That subreddit was basically just a collection of a lot of the scoops, rumors, and reports that were out there. We do that same thing here at the channel, so if you're looking for a fix, this is a good place to come. The second thing is that even though this is one of their unverified sources, it actually lines up with what we've already heard coming from other industry insiders about what Marvel Studios is going to do here in the near future. This is what the scoop went on to say, quote, "Marvel recognizes no one will want to jump in after Secret Wars because the hours of content could jump into the multiple hundreds, especially by canonizing things like SSU, TASM, Fox X-Men, Netflix, Hulu, ABC, all those shows and a bunch of past projects. So the plan after Secret Wars is to do something similar to the comics Ultimate Universe, basically a fresh start universe running alongside the main one to try to get new viewers, and it'll have less content than the MCU, but eventually be used as a permanent jumping on point as they transition from today's MCU continuity." He continues by writing, "By the end of phase 7 or 8, no characters, at least the major ones, from the Infinity Saga will be left, with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars being their massive last hurrah, and the ones that will remain for Phase 8 will be gone by the end of that, or at least sidelined similar to Steve Rogers at the end of Avengers Endgame, with a chance of perhaps returning for whatever finale is at the end of the next saga." Now, I know how some of you may be knee-jerk reacting about hearing an MCU reboot of sorts, but nothing can change the fact that in the real world, the actors who portray these characters continue to age, and this was something that the comic book medium, as I mentioned in the prologue, has never really had to deal with. Also mentioning that Marvel Studios is aware of just how much of a commitment it is now to catch up is something that's real, including the Sony Spider-Man universe that's still growing in number of films. All of the Netflix shows, the stuff on ABC that he happens to mention here, might also be recanonized very soon in the future of the MCU. The Fox X-Men movies, at some point, it's just indomitable for a new viewer to want to step into a fandom that is this deep and rich because there's really no chance of ever catching up. So that's ultimately what this reboot would look to do, reset these stories in a way that if you are a brand new viewer, you are not beholden to everything that's come before. Now listen, I know this sounds a little bit confusing, but it's really not, and let me try to explain this in a simpler way and from a different angle. The MCU will keep going. That's what he said here, 2 parallel continuities. The MCU will continue because it's still Marvel Studios, there's still a through line, and he even goes on to mention films like Shang-Chi 3, a Namor special, things that could happen after the multiverse saga with characters we saw introduced during Phase 4. So there'll still be a through line. but it's much easier to start something new for new viewers on the side that isn't beholden to all of everything that's already going into the MCU. And that's where you can recast your Iron Man, you can recast your Captain America with new and younger actors to try to get the new viewers. It's not a different MCU, it's still Marvel Studios, it's just a different parallel universe running where the stories can start fresh and new, and they can start retelling those stories without beholden to all the history in the MCU. But you'll still have the MCU going, you'll still have those characters and those stories, and I know it does sound a little complicated, and why would you want two timelines? But again, we just come back to the fact that eventually you won't be able to bring these actors back even if you want to. And I know a lot of you are going to jump in the comments and talk about what happened with Luke Skywalker and the de-aging software. Sure, yeah, of course, you can do that, but there's still something with the uncanny valley, the verisimilitude of the project itself, and in the same way the comic books and Marvel wanted to do it there, they just want to tell new stories. They want to be able to do something different, say something different about the character, do a different take on the character, and really it was that reimagining of the character, still the same superhero we know, but a retelling without beholden to the history that allowed comics to keep going and reinventing themselves so that we could eventually get a Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars run in 2015 after the original Secret Wars with those very same characters about 30 years earlier. And so what I will say here is, though, although change does seem scary and we want our little bubble of the MCU to keep going, I like the fact that the multiverse saga might be that very poignant pause on everything that's been, so that they can start afresh. And I can tell you from the other industry insiders and stuff we've covered here at this channel, this lines up exactly with what everybody else has said. A soft reboot has always been in the works. The end of the multiverse saga will truly be a punctuation point on all Marvel cinema to come before. And look, I know, again, change is scary, but my honest reaction to this is it's almost perfect. The same way you don't want a TV show to run forever so it gets tired, sometimes you do have to make something stop, and I'm glad the same way that Kevin Feige saw it for the end of the Infinity Saga, there's a chance here to do the same thing, and then maybe get these characters back in so they can cross over with the X-Men in new stories down the road that we would suspect. I also have an inkling that this will be the last time we address the multiverse saga, so when we do get to the sort of human rights issues and the X-Men and mutants versus society story through the X-Men, we don't have to worry about the multiverse at that point. I'm hoping that when the multiverse saga is done, it's a non-starter. Well, at least until we get to Saga 4, if that's the timeless saga, we may see Kang in the next 20 years return as a villain. If Kevin Feige truly gets his wish for 65 years, Kang will not be done at the end of the multiverse saga. In fact, we may just start the multiverse saga all over again, as it always has been and always will be. That's a theory for a different video. Guys, quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5. The next one will coincide with the release of Guardians of the Galaxy in just a couple of months. If you want to be entered to win, all you gotta do, be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will always be announced live on screen with the comments shown and my voice, so please be wary of scammers. If you should get any on my channel or anywhere on YouTube, please report those comments to YouTube, as they will delete the account, and you're doing the community a huge service. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's been over a year and they are still lingering around. My name is Michael Roman. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, wherever you listen to original music under the name Allfires. And while I'd sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.